Hello, everybody, and welcome to Conservatish episode 233. My name is Peter Edgar Feliciano. Wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe, share, rate, review. That helps me out a lot. And if you don't do it, you are a racist. And you can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. You can find me on Twitter at Rule62Peter. You can support my podcast and my music at patreon.com/conservatish. And I've got new music coming soon. And what else? Could have sworn there was something else. No, that's about it. So thank you, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful That Star Wars Girl. Yay! AKA Anna.
Hi. So just want me to plug everything. Go follow me. My name is Anna, but I go by That Star Wars Girl online on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. I have a calendar that's live now on Indiegogo for cosplay. You guys can go check that out. Just type in That Star Wars Girl and you should be able to find me. There's my Instagram. But fun fact, Peter and I are actually friends in real life. I knew Peter before either of us started this whole YouTube adventure and online personality thing.
I know. Where did we meet, Anna?
We met in San Francisco.
That's correct.
Many years ago.
Oh, by the way, everybody, I have a background. I have the
Enterprise. I love
Enterprise.
It.
What's the thing called? Like the room called? Is
Bridge.
it the bridge? Thank you. I knew there was something. Anyway, I'm probably going to take it off because I'm 36, man. I can't be doing. I know that's. Well, all right, fine. I'll keep it for now. I haven't figured out
how to do green screen, so I have to have a real background that looks kind of cool.
Don't you stream for a living? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but I just not streaming. I mostly make money off of the just the individual content. Streaming isn't my main form of income, but yeah. Well, I don't know. I haven't figured out the green screen. I haven't tried. This seems to do what it needs to do.
It does a lot. But, yeah. So we know each other from San Francisco. We used to work Dick's Last Resort.
Yeah. Long time ago.
Long fucking time ago. That was
that restaurant
almost 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago?
I think it was maybe 8 years ago.
Oh my God, I feel old.
Well, you are old. Yeah, no. But are you cool with us talking about the place and what it was and all that stuff?
Yeah, let's just not give out personal details,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Personal details. Okay. Well, happily we're recording, so if you want me to. We used to work at Dick's Last Resort. It was a restaurant where the servers make fun of the guests, and it was a lot of fucking fun. Except they opened it Fisherman's Wharf, which is not the right place to have a place where the restaurant
in the Castro downtown. They picked the absolute worst location. So if you guys aren't familiar with San Francisco, there's some major tourist destinations and attractions. One of the things is the pier, and then if you go down the wharf, the problem with this is there's an In-N-Out, and then there's the ocean. So by the time everyone gets down to the wharf, they've already eaten at the pier. So nobody wants food. Nobody's there for that. If it would have been on the pier or downtown somewhere, it would have done fine. But they picked the absolute worst location.
You know how much fun drag queens would be at Dick's Last Resort?
Oh, my God.
Holy shit. That was 8 years ago, back when gays were still cool.
Oh, no.
And in the Castro, that would have been insane.
Oh my gosh. It would have been perfect in the Castro. People would have loved it. And it was such a missed opportunity. But the people that opened it weren't from San Francisco. They just found a location. They poured all this money into it. And then how long did it last? 9 months, maybe?
I think, 6. About 6.
6.
Yeah.
Who called you to tell you? Oh my God, what was our manager's name? He called me right before Christmas. He's like, "Hey, Anna, you don't have to come back to work. We're closing." I was like, "All right, cool."
I don't remember if I got a call, but I'm sure I obviously did. But that was sad because it was obviously frustrating. We were hemorrhaging money. Any new business hemorrhages money for a little bit, but it was so expensive. The rent, not just San Francisco, but the rent on Fisherman's fucking Wharf, it's going to be insane. So, it was such a missed opportunity. And it was a lot of fun. I literally got paid to stand on a table
Yeah.
and sing so wet and ya did I be and like someone across the restaurant, another server would go, oh when ya, like that. I got paid to do that. That was so valuable to me, to make fun of people, to make hats, to just, you know.
Do you remember Fleet Week?
Probably for different reasons than you do.
The restaurant had that was so much fun.
Yeah, with all the people coming in.
Yeah, because we actually had like people right there because it was so packed. For those that don't know, so 1 week out of the year is Fleet Week. So that's when the Navy comes to San Francisco and the Blue Angels do the show. So the entire wharf and oceanfront is just packed with people. And so of course people needed a place to eat and they would come in there. So we actually got to do what the restaurant was supposed to do. And it was so much fun.
Right, making fun of people, you know, just being funny. Some tables were more of the type, you know, who were there just to you know, what?
Some people did not get the shtick; they were just there to eat, and they get mad, very mad.
And then because it was a chain, some people actually knew it. I still am friends. I'm not going to say her name, but she still. She still every once in a while we connect on social media, and me and another fellow server, I won't say his name, but he's a sweetheart who still lives in San Francisco. We got this table come in, and you know, and we're giving him the real huh?
Now I want to know who.
I think his nickname was Pip. Do you remember him? Yeah.
I have to face. I remember Beyonce the most. Do you remember Beyonce?
No.
Yes, you do. The short little Asian guy that had like all the balls of energy, who like claimed that he wasn't gay, and then he's like, "No, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I'm not gay." And then he's like, "Yeah, you're gay, honey."
No, I don't recognize balls.
You know, I feel like I need to pull up pictures and send them to you on Facebook because you'll know him the second you see him.
A lot of those guys. In fact, actually, with all my filth, with all my horrible opinions, blah, 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 I still will sometimes see someone like one of my posts, and I'm like, okay, I see you. All right, you dirty San Franciscan, you. But so this table comes in. This lady is, you know, it's two ladies and a guy. And they're in from, I think, Seattle. And they just wanted the full treatment, blah, blah, blah. We're fucking giving them all kinds of booze, and we're making fun of him, making fun of them, you know, hats and titties and blah, blah, blah. And they actually did flash some nipple. God bless their hearts. They did flash some nipple. It was that kind of joint. And at the end of it, she's like, the main lady was like, listen, I really needed this. I really needed this. We actually came down from Seattle to go to a doctor's appointment at the hospital, and I got some really bad news. So I really needed this. And it was such a sweet thing that she still sends me a Christmas card every year.
Oh my God, how sweet. I'm glad that she's okay and she's still sending you cards.
Oh yeah, she's doing great. And I'm really happy for her, and she's kicking ass, and yeah, and she's just I guess to have that much of an impact on somebody's life, even though you're just saying dick jokes and stuff, like, that's a huge thing that humor can do, and plus I'm unbelievably hilarious. Like, I'm just so fucking talented. I can save motherfuckers' lives. I keep telling all these motherfuckers.
You can say that because it is true. Like, I know you in real life before the YouTube things happen. You actually are funny.
Well, thank you very much. Very nice. And everybody, that's the other thing I was going to say. I'm wearing my "It's Okay If We Disagree on Politics" shirt. Make sure you buy that at peterfeliciano.com.
I should probably do a little disclaimer. So I don't really talk about politics at all on my channel. I actually, on my YouTube channel, I have a no politics rule. I don't care if other people talk about them. And the real meaning behind that, or I guess the real reason, is because I have no interest in politics. Right. I don't know. I have no interest in them. I'd rather do anything else and talk about anything else. But I have. Oh no. People, my motherfuckers who listen to my show, my fans, they understand. They're gonna get. I've had some episodes even recently where we don't talk about politics at all. I've had abuse survivors on. I've had. That'll probably be this episode. Oh yeah, no, probably. I just have to say that because people, like, anytime I have a guest on that talks about politics, they're like, "Anna, your rule is no know politics. I'm like, I'm fine if other people do it, like, because they're expressing their opinion on something.
Right.
But it's like, I'm not going to have a show all about it. But
No.
There's it for you guys.
Yeah, no. But I do like that you do talk about some woke shit. So as far as which is a little political. It's a little. I know it's not, but it kind of is
political. But it's being made political, and that's where I get dragged into things because I'm like, I don't know anything about modern day politics. I know what was going on during like World War II, World War I, Vietnam, all of that because I'm a history buff. But right now, I don't. People were giving me shit because I was reading an article and it said DeSantis, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. And they're like, yeah, that was their reaction. I'm like, who is that? When COVID started and it was in the middle of it, like I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, I've been on self-quarantine normally because I just stay at home and work and paint. Right. And people kept talking about Fauci, and I was like, who's Fauci? And they're like, how do you not fucking know who Fauci is? Right. But yeah, that's how much little interest I have in these things.
And God bless you. And God bless you. We all need to have entertainment and whatever. I mean, sometimes, I'm a history buff as well. I've been reading a book on a great book, and I recommend this to fucking anybody. Please read Stasi-Land. Okay, it's about the Stasi. It's about the German Democratic Republic and the wall and the people, the everyday people, as well as it's pretty much essentially a woman goes back. This was written in the 90s. A woman goes back after about 7 years after the wall fell and interviews not just everyday people, but also former Stasi police officers. So it was like it's a heavy fucking book, but it's a really important book. I love it to death. But sometimes, I'll listen to that or read that or whatever for a couple days, and then I'm just like, I need something else. And so I downloaded the Chris Farley autobiography. You know what I mean? Like we all get what we need when we need it. The motherfuckers who are only politics or only this or only that bore me to tears. So I get it.
Can I take 1 second? My Ring app just let me know that my dog wandered into the front yard, so I have to go get her. I'll be right back.
Do it.
Sorry.
That's okay. I forgive you.
This little escape artist. She was sitting right next to me, but there's like a little space behind the gate where she can crawl under and get in the front yard.
What kind of froofy dog is that?
This is a Pekingese.
She's got the face of a pug. With the hair of a regular dog.
Did you know there was 4 dogs that survived the Titanic, 3 Pomeranians and 1 Pekingese?
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the Pekingese were the dogs for like the emperors in China.
Okay.
And it was forbidden to take them outside of like the city. And if you tried to smuggle one out, you would get killed. Like only royalty could have these dogs. And the first person to have a Pekingese that wasn't of the Chinese dynasty was Queen Victoria I. They gave her 4 Pekingese. And since then they've spread out, but she's such a good girl. So whenever like Asian people see her, they freak out because like, oh my gosh, it's a Pekingese.
Yeah. And then they want to, plus it makes them hungry.
No, they don't eat these ones. These are royal dogs.
All right. I just wanted to make an Asian joke. Can a motherfucker make an Asian joke?
This is Tulip.
Hello, Tulip. Hello.
She's a baby.
She seems that way. So speaking of bringing joy through entertainment, I have noticed. I love your breakdowns of some of the stuff that's been happening recently. So SheHulk came out recently. Holy Lord. We all knew it was going to be bad, right? But what was your anticipation? Were you looking forward to SheHulk? Do you have any love for that character?
Yes. So I have always loved SheHulk. I actually like her a little bit better than the Hulk personally. But so based on the way that the comics were going, because the people working at Marvel and DC, they don't know anything about these characters. And so they keep trying to change them, or here's the first time this type of character was there. And I'm like, dude, they did that decades ago. Where the hell have you been? That's not how these things work. And so they started off by trying to make SheHulk as masculine as possible. And I'm like, that's not how it works. And they're like, well, she's more masculine because she has more of Bruce's blood in her. I'm like, that's not how the gamma radiation works. So when you get infected with it, it releases your id, which is like your innermost, your subconscious desires and whatnot. And so the more of that you have in you, the more of your id you will become. So Hulk Bruce turns into the Hulk because that is his innermost desires. When Jen gets it, her innermost desires is to be sexy and confident and, that type of persona. And so if she had more of, Hulk's blood in her, she would become more of that. She would become even more feminine as compared to what they made her. And that was just with the comics. So I was like, all right, you guys are making a show. This is not going to be good.
Right. Now, what do you feel like? Because I've seen that there is a lot of pushback from the, no offense, from the nerds, from the cosplay people, from the people who are into this sort of life and into that sort of entertainment against the woke shit. But I haven't. What do you think made it happen?
The woke shit or the nerd?
No, not the nerdness. Well, that's a whole nother eons of episodes. But what do you think started to did it come from the comics first, or from the TV shows, from the movies? Where did it come from, do you think?
Well, I mean, as far as I've noticed, it came in the comic book industry first, and then it was slowly making its Hollywood and where everyone does all this stuff, because the comics headquarters is in Burbank. So they're all kind of the same world. But what I thought it was versus what it's actually turning out to be is kind of different things. To me, it just seemed like they hired the wrong people to do this job, and those people just were at this job, and then they got promoted and got into positions of power and changed it for what they wanted versus what was actually good for the characters and the companies. But I've learned ever since then. Do you know what an ESG is?
No, what's that?
So this is my terrible insight onto it. So ESG is some way for like a hedge fund thing for companies. And so if companies put money into like these woke programs, then that makes their stock go up. So that's an explanation for this woke stuff. I'm not the person to talk about it. That just from what I've heard and what people have, come out saying about these companies like Disney, the reason why they are pushing this woke shit so hard is because it helps their stocks in some ways, which I don't know anything about, nor do I have any interest in. So go look up ESGs taking over the entertainment industry.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And also a lot of Chinese money as well, I've noticed. A lot of Chinese money.
You want to get kicked off YouTube, don't you?
What? A little bit. I've already had one YouTube episode taken off a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago.
What happened?
I said something that you're not supposed to say about a certain chemical and this was 9 months.
Is it ivermectin?
No, it was a different one. It was the one that we're all supposed to take, not the one we're all not supposed to take. And I said something about, about that 9 months ago, and the episode got taken down 3 weeks ago. And it was, even though Fauci, I know you don't know who it is, but even though Fauci and the CDC said the same thing 3 weeks ago. So I got a 9-month-old episode removed for saying the same thing that Fauci said on Fox News. And that Fauci episode on Fox is still up on YouTube. So I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Can you contest it at all?
I already tried. I already appealed. They said, sorry. It's never a strong.
Is you have to say, I identify as a woman expressing my opinion on these things. This is my commentary. Here are all of the sites. And then they can't really touch you, especially if you say I'm LGBTQ plus and identify as a woman. That you have to open it with that. I
already opened it. I actually did appeal with the person of color angle, because I'm half Puerto Rican. So I was like, if you don't, why is obviously Fauci, and the guy who was interviewing Fauci was also white, right? So he's allowed to stay, but not a person of color who's saying the wrong thing. But they don't really care. And what's unfortunate is that I'm not far from being monetizable. I've gotten a shit ton of subscribers.
Are you not monetized?
Huh?
You're not monetized yet?
Nope.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
You need to fix that.
We fucking really goddamn do. Because all of my episodes, all of my everything, all of the, it's all coming from my pocket. I'm paying it for myself. So support my podcast. I've had a number of different. Oh, what was I saying? I was talking about the money that's controlling that. I also feel like, and this is something I've talked to about with a couple of other people. It's fake niceness. It's fake niceness that is the gas in the engine of the woke stuff, because it's, well, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to hurt. And the people who grab those ears of the people who work of the executives at these comic places, at the executives of Marvel, the executives of Disney, the executives, whatever, are always the worst kind, the most whiny kind of fill in the blank, trans, gay, black, woman, whatever it is. And so they grab their ear and say, you're making us feel bad. And because these white executives don't know any black people, any trans people, any gay people, any people of color, any whatever, they say, oh, this must be the experience of all black, gay, trans, whatever it is. And so it's this niceness, this, I'm going to cleanse my actual or imagined racism, imagined bigotedness with giving a platform to these annoying, whiny people. It's niceness. I think
that is partially true. I also think it has a lot to do with what happened with Me Too, and everyone just like, after that, now it's like, oh, well, Me Too's kind of dying out. But at the same time, oh, well, we can't Me Too you for sexual thing. Well, now I can Me Too you for, oh, you hurt my feelings about my sexuality or my gender or my race and stuff. So it's kind of like that. What the domino effect where now everyone's just afraid of getting sued and getting canceled. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at what happened with Gina Carano.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see that movie she did? Didn't she do a couple movies with Daily Wire? Yeah, Daily Wire.
I have not seen Terror on the Prairie yet, but talk to her about it. She is enjoying like this freedom that she has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd like that too. Maybe I should change my gender. That's what I'll do. I'll change my gender. Bye penis. Or actually, I guess I don't even need to cut it off. I just need to say
and you'll be ready.
Yeah, just say that I am and put on a wig maybe. So She-Hulk. Oh, and the fucking, I'm telling you, I know that you were ranting about Mark Ruffalo in that latest. You talked about that guy. I have hated that dude for years. For years. He had one good role in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Okay. And anybody could have played that role, by the way, and made it a viable character.
13 going on 30 in a chick flick. He's not like a leading man kind of thing, but I think that was the point. Is that he was like a dorky friend.
He's the what?
He's the dorky friend that she realizes is the one for her. Like that was an okay role for him. But I've noticed so many celebrities on Twitter. I'm like, I really wish I never followed you because you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You know what? I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Of course.
So I have had absolutely amazing interactions with William Shatner on Twitter. Mark Hamill hates me on Twitter.
Really? Why?
The biggest dick to me. And I'm like, but you're Luke Skywalker.
Why has he been the biggest dick to you? What happened?
Well, so all of like my haters, they're like, oh, he owned you. I'm like, no, he didn't. There's like video evidence of him saying the contrary. So I retweeted something about how like I was sorry that they killed him off and that they did that to him because he said it in an interview. He said that he didn't know that Luke was going to die until he watched Last Jedi and that he saw that they killed him because that's like a visual effects of like the cloak falling. And he said that in an interview. And so I was retweeting that I was sorry to him that, hey, like, I'm sorry that they like killed you off in that way. And, they did that to Luke. And he's like, you're wrong. It was in the script from the beginning. I'm like, that's not what you said on video.
Nice. Okay.
But like, he's not a very nice person on Twitter.
He doesn't seem like a very nice person in general. Although Twitter can be a different type of, even nice people sometimes on Twitter. You get on Twitter, social media is not the best barometer on whether or not they're a good character in general. But I do
why
notice.
Would you be that way to your fans, right? Like when you're responding to a girl whose name is literally that Star Wars girl and has like a Star Wars profile, like why would you do that?
Right. But did he say like you dumb asshole, or did he just contradict you?
He contradicted me, but he did it in a very assholey way.
Okay. So have you had any other run-ins or interactions with him yet?
I feel like I have. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I know that we've butted heads like at least twice on Twitter.
Okay. See, this is part of the reason, not the only reason, but this is part of the reason that Star Trek is better than Star Wars. It just fucking is. It just fucking is. And by the way, of course, I'm not, no offense, God bless him, William Shatner, but of course I'm talking about the Next Generation. Next Generation is one of the greatest programs of all fucking time, the greatest characters of all time. And
what's your favorite episode?
Huh?
What's your favorite episode?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched. What I'm saying is, well, you know who? One thing I will say. Mostly, I was just saying that to make you upset. But because I did grow up on that, and I also grew up on the movies too. But one character thing that does bother me is, remember the first episode with Q? Q was gay, isn't he?
I don't think so.
You don't think Q was gay? That first episode, Q was pretty homosexual. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying,
I feel like it's, I don't know. It's like that fluidity of that he could be anything that he wants, like that freedom of whatever. I don't know. I've never really gotten a sexual vibe from Q. Like even when he's in Voyager and like hitting on Janeway.
Voyager?
Yeah.
See, this is why I can't talk to you. You know what Voyager? Is that who Trill is? Trill is some character.
Trill is a species of aliens in Star Trek. They were introduced in the Next Generation. Remember when Crusher falls in love with that one alien guy, and there's like the bug in him, and he's like, "No, that's me," and they have to get him another body, and it's a chick, and she's like, "I can't do this." No. So yeah, they switched him around in Deep Space Nine, and so those are the ones like with the spots.
The spots, yes.
So that Trill is like there's the humanoids and then there's the symbiote. And so most Trills that you see on the show are bonded. You're just laughing at me because I'm see, I can't tell you anything about what's going on.
I'm listening. I'm listening very intently.
I can tell you about Trills. But no, I never got a sexual vibe from Q. I just got the vibe of he's a puppet master and he's playing with his toys.
Right. No, that's definitely a thing. But that first episode, his lips were a little redder than normal, than a strip.
Well, I think they're messing around with like makeup and stuff and like trying to get a look down. Because even Deanna, like her look changes throughout the show.
Right. And not just that, but Picard was meaner. He was kind of fucking mean in the first few episodes to Wesley and shit. You know what I mean?
Wesley's annoying.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Have you ever interacted with any Star Trek people on Twitter?
Yeah, William.
Oh, Riker?
No, William Shatner.
Oh, Shatner. Okay, all right.
Yeah, Shatner.
But no Next Generation people.
I fought with a couple of them, which was funny because I was like, I was on a stream with you and you don't remember me.
You were on a stream with one of them?
I'll tell you off air who it was, but yeah, I was on a stream with a character from Voyager, and he was really nice to me on air, and then he just likes to fight with me on Twitter, and I'm like, I gotta mute you, dude, because you're saying it's that idea or that concept of you're very different to someone in person than you are when you're hiding behind a computer screen or a phone screen.
Right. Where do you think because this is an interesting thing about getting to the next kind of echelon of things. Like when you're fighting or having run-ins with your heroes on Twitter, what preparation in your soul do you need to have to be ready for that? Because some motherfuckers take it and go deep into insanity. You haven't done that. So what do you think might be the fulcrum between that? Do you feel like was it a slow process? Did you change the fact that like your outlook on celebrity, your outlook on accessibility? What do you think? I mean, maybe it's just that you have such a solid foundation. Like you said, you're by yourself, gardening and painting and whatever the hell it is, in your fortress of solitude. What do you think gives you the spirit to not get washed away in the insanity?
Like, you mean me, like not losing my mind in it?
Yeah.
Well, so my sisters were very, very mean to me growing up. And so it was like a lot of people. And so it was funny because I'm the oldest, but everyone was like, they treat you like you're the youngest sibling, the way that they talk to you and whatnot. And I mean, it wasn't like one of my sisters, I think it was out of hatred. The other one, it was just out of like, we're sisters. This is out of love, but you're getting on my last nerves. Right. And then of course, like, I mean, you know me in real life, you know how much of a dork I am in real life. And so like when you have people that aren't, don't have the best intentions and might not like you, they're not going to be very nice to you. So I've dealt with it in real life my entire life. So when it's online, I'm like, this is nothing, man. Like, what are you talking? Like, you're mad because I posted a meme? I'm like, try getting punched in the face in real life. I mean, this is nothing. So that's exactly what it is. It's nothing. It's somebody that wouldn't have the balls to say it to your face. And I've met plenty of people that will say it to your face. And so the people online just don't scare me.
Right. Especially when maybe it's a couple of different things. Another factor could be that it's a treasured, like as an example, what's his face, Mark Hamill. It's either his character or his treasured pet project. It's not something that he feels deeply passionate about or like a fundamental. It's just an entertainment thing or a job thing. It's not him as a person. There are people who can be vitriolic about who you are as a person online, but you know, like when someone, you know, I've said this example, when people make fun of me for being bald, I'm fine. Like I make fun of me for being bald all the fucking time. I like being bald. Girls like me being bald. Like it's not an Achilles heel.
Hey, Captain Picard was bald.
Exactly.
No problem getting ladies. So
no, not at all.
So Professor Xavier. There's lots of bald heroes.
That's absolutely
Dr.
correct.
Manhattan.
Doctor who?
Manhattan.
What's that from?
Watchmen.
You know I don't give a fuck.
You know what? I'm gonna get a lot of haters for this, but they're new. The older people already knew. I hate Watchmen. I hate it with a burning passion.
I've only seen the movie. I didn't like
terrible. It's Zack Snyder. I'm sorry, he cannot make movies. He's good at casting very attractive men and making them look very attractive. Aside from that, don't let him touch things.
Right. So did you like the comics?
Watchmen? No.
Okay. So it was hate anyway. It wasn't something.
It's the deconstruction of the superhero, and when all of your characters are just unlikable cunts, like I'm not really going to get into it.
Right.
You know, it's like I enjoy The Boys, which is the deconstruction of the superhero, but I think it's because even though they're all unlikable cunts, they're charming and entertaining at the same time. Whereas in Watchmen, I'm like, I hate all of you, and I'm wasting my life reading about this and then watching it. It's a whole nother thing.
Right. You have to give a little bit of sugar. You have to give a little engagement. It can't just be the whole time. It's similar to like what I sometimes like. I like Seinfeld a lot. I like it. But if you watch more than like 2 episodes at a clip, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like everybody, like these are horrible people. You know what I mean?
But I love George. I'm like, I wish the whole show would just be about George because George is my favorite. And like, I mean, I can't stand Jerry and I can't stand Elaine. They drive me crazy. Kramer, I can put up with because I'm like, what the fuck is this guy going to do? But I'm like, this should just be about George because I adore George.
What is wrong with you? You really have a thing. It must be the bald thing. That's why you and I are friends.
It's a funny thing because you know what? He knows that he's terrible, and he's like, "This is the stupid decision, but I'm gonna do it." And I'm like, I love George. Like with the episode where what's her name when he's in love with the actress, but he's engaged, and he's like, I want to meet her.
Tomei.
She's into short bald men.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei.
Tomei.
By the way, holy fuck, Marissa Tomei. Holy gee. I mean, especially 90s Marissa Tomei. Good gravy.
She looks great even now in the Spider-Man movies. Oh my God.
Well, I haven't watched the Spider-Man movies because I'm straight, but I do think but no, yeah, she could fucking get it. God bless her heart. She was also in The Wrestler as a stripper. Oof. And I think her titties come out in that movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman before the Devil Knows You're Dead. I never watched the movie, but I won't talk about
the irony of that title and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah. You really got to not do drugs, boys and girls. Find a way to do that. There are ways. So obviously, what was it? Man, we went down the thread there.
I go on tangents galore, so good luck asking me questions.
Right. We got to fucking get back. Oh, we were talking about the insanity. The other thing is of how it could be perceived if we're in a good spiritual, mental, emotional condition, if we're taking care of ourselves, is that when somebody has like an opinion on what your opinion is, right? If someone's on Twitter, it's whatever. It's like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. You know what I mean? That could be the other factor. Like the people who I actually know, I value their opinions. I value their, behavior towards me, not somebody I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to people losing their mind about my opinions on Twitter, it's like, well, one, yeah, I don't know who you are. And two, you're getting mad at I'm the stranger in this scenario. You're getting mad at a stranger's opinion on something on the internet. Like, do you not see how kind of crazy that is? Whereas like when I'm talking about stuff, this is my opinion on Star Wars. This is my opinion on Star Trek, on Marvel, on DC, on this movie or on this TV show. This is my opinion about this thing. So when people that don't know me get like so up in arms and offended about what I'm saying, I'm like, oh, it's probably because I'm right. And it's getting under your skin.
Right. And also people are vying. I mean, that's the thing. I said that on a live stream with Josh Denny and Mike Harlow last week. But here's the other thing. And I love you. If you're listening to this right now, understand, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you. You are a valuable, especially the people who like me, you're a valuable part of what I get to do and what that Star Wars girl gets to do. But you're not a part of this conversation. All right. Now, let me break that down. What am I trying to say? Okay. So I've worked really hard at this art. Right. I've worked really hard. Like I said, as we talked about earlier, I'm not getting even fucking motherfucking paid for this. This is all just a sacrifice of my time, my effort, my thoughts, my breakdown of things, my, interest, my blah, 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 my spirit, whatever. And I've practiced this muscle for a long time. There are some people who wish they could do that thing, but chose not to, and then get mad at other people who did sacrifice the time, who did put in the effort, who are putting themselves out there, right? As an example, people know and can see your face. They know your name is Anna. They know that you are, they know tidbits about your life. And yet they want to get on there and be like, I don't like your opinion. And yet they're coming from an anonymous fucking place. They're not even ballsy enough to put their motherfucking name on their opinion on your opinion. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry, but that Star Wars girl and I were winners. I love you. But we're winners, and I'm not saying you're a loser, but I'm just saying you're not a part of the like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just because you like us doesn't mean you get, or you have an opinion on something that we have an opinion on, doesn't mean that we have to give any credence into your opinion on us or on anything. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I understand. And when it comes to like haters and negative people, 100%. On my channel, I didn't even plan on doing YouTube. I just put out one video and then people asked me to do more. So I really listened to, what do people want me to talk about, because they're my audience. They subscribe to me. So it's like, well, I got to kind of like, well, what do you guys want? Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I've been doing this for years and I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't even know how to set up a green screen, but people like what I have to say. And yeah, it's very humbling that, they continue to listen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me clarify what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I don't value, or even that I mean, of course I try to make this entertaining. Of course, I try to engage people. People who follow me online, they understand that I'm always commenting back and thanking them for their support and their messages. I'm not saying that I'm not grateful. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate them or want to make better content for them. What I'm saying is that connection for some people, not for a lot, but for some people, that connection and their support for us can sometimes switch real fast into hate, can sometimes switch real fast into, I don't really like that. It's like, whoa. Like, thank you if you support. And I'm not saying I don't anticipate or expect that some people are going to dislike or disagree with something I say. I'm not saying I'm a fucking little bitch when it comes to that shit, but I'm saying they feel sometimes close enough to us through their support and sometimes our engagement with them that they can switch that into, I don't really like that I had somebody, comment a few days ago, like, meh, on one of my videos. I'm like, is it better than your fucking show? And she's like, well, good point. Yeah. Like sometimes they feel they appreciate and love our content so much and get to know us so much and watch hours, sometimes days, sometimes weeks of our shit that they think they know us well enough to that they're right alongside us, that they get to just go, I don't really like, you should do your hair, blah, 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 blah. Where it's just like, bro, you're not a part of this. Like you're a part of this, but you're not a part of this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. So I have a little bit of a, it's a weird line because I'm sure you get like people that like fall in love with you kind of thing. But I mean, with me, it's like, it's that kind of crazy kind. And so there'll be people, and my audience knows this. So I used to interact a little bit more like in comments and answering emails. And I've had to kind of stop because there is that obsessive kind of behavior. And there's like to the point where it's like, Anna, you didn't respond to my comment first. You didn't heart my comment. You didn't respond to my emails. And that love or obsession very quickly turns to hate, and where they follow you everywhere and they threaten you everywhere. And it's that crazy obsessive. So I've had to like kind of stop showing as much of that. So now I kind of just show like when people lose their mind over my opinion. But before I used to show it and I used to laugh at it on my channel. And now I have a couple hardcore stalkers that I'm like, all right, I'm not even going to give attention to this because now people are into that too. That kind of shaming the thing too. But I've met a lot of people that watch my channel in real life and they're like, we get it. We know it's a fucking weird situation that you're in particular on the internet. So we get it. We're just here to support, and we like being interactive with you in streams in the way that we can, that you're comfortable with. So there is always different sides of it where people that used to passionately love you, that passion can very quickly switch because you say something they don't like. But then there's also the other side of it where there's people that will come in and say like, oh, I hated this and da 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 because you said this and this. But then there's other people that are like, oh, Anna, like I really enjoyed this, but you need to fix your mic because it's terrible. That's constructive criticism. I now have this beautifully expensive new microphone, which I think sounds great. Right now, I've gotten a couple people, they can't stand my camera. Now, my camera is the same that many, many YouTubers use. And I don't know why it's being weird. It just, I guess it doesn't focus on me correctly because I have to zoom in so much because I'm tiny.
You are.
But yeah, so people are getting on my ass right now about my camera. And I'm like, it's good enough. You don't need to see every pore in my face. It's more about what I'm saying than how I look kind of thing.
Right. But that's essentially what I'm saying is that especially at the level that you're at and higher up, what happens is, this beautiful connection. And even at my fucking level, and like I said, I'm not even monetizable mostly because I have a strike against my account. But even at my level, like I like engaging with people, and I don't expect everyone to agree with everything I say or like every episode. I know that there's going to be some stuff even my favorite fucking people. Trent Reznor is one of my favorite artists, right? Do you know who that is? 9 Inch Nails.
Sorry, what?
9 Inch Nails. Do you remember do you know who that is?
9 Inch Nails.
Right. Okay. All right. Some albums are like, okay, thanks, Trent, but I don't need to like get online and be like, why did you do a whole album with just instrumental stuff? I don't need to, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm sold on him and I'm emotionally mature. Marriage. When you have that marriage.
That's a big thing, emotional maturity that I wish more people had that.
Yes. Which again, I always go back to, I know it's hippie, but when you take care of yourself, boys and girls, you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta, whether it's meditation or prayer or a church or a recovery program or a fucking, that old thing they say on Twitter, touch grass. Like you gotta do it. You gotta de-engage.
You know what I do when anyone tells me to touch grass? I go and I touch my grass and I flip off the camera with my other hand touching the grass. And I'm like, and guess what? This is my grass, bitch. This isn't mommy and daddy's grass. This is my grass. You can't say the same.
Exactly, motherfucker. So we'll go a few more minutes if you're cool.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I thought we would be here for like a couple hours. So,
Oh, good Lord.
we can talk
I'm
as
not
long
that
as you
Star
want.
Wars girl. I don't stream the entire fucking my life. But I wanted to, what do you think is, like, as far as, let's go back to Mark Ruffalo. Because the main thing that I usually, I mean, one of my things, one of my passions in being a mixed race motherfucker is I like to use identity politics to kill identity politics. People, rich, white, elite motherfuckers like Mark Ruffalo are constantly coming from this place of I'm here to save. He even said in that tweet, he tweeted about SheHulk, he retweeted something about Screen Rant, blah blah blah. That what was it when SheHulk got review bombed, right, on IMDb, right? That there's just this underbelly of like racist, sexist motherfuckers out there, and there is a small amount, but mostly it's just people,
trolls and everything.
There's trolls and everything. But you brought up an interesting point, and it's a point I've seen elsewhere as well. Why, if it's just people of color, and by the way,
women, in this case, women,
right? And in that thing was women and BIPOC people, whatever. BIPOC is not a thing. Shut the fuck up, white people. Okay, please. I know you know one. You don't even have any black friends, white liberals. I'm sorry, you don't. You have motherfuckers who happen to be black that you follow on Instagram. It's not the motherfucking same, you boring douchebag. I'm a person of color. Do you get to listen to my marginalized voice too? But like people like Mark Ruffalo, they assume this importance. They assume this, like, and yet it's always, and you're not a fucking white lady. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a white person, and yet why is he speaking for fucking motherfucking me? You're a woman. Why is he speaking for you?
That's all it is. They're like, they have white guilt. And my friend Flash, he always is like, the worst people are woke white women because they're the ones that are pushing this. And if you look at it on Twitter, it is. That's why they're obsessed with having blue or purple hair. That's why they're obsessed with changing themselves. They're like, I'm pansexual. I'm they, them. It's like, no, you're not. You're just a boring regular person. And you have to make yourself change because you have that guilt because you don't want to get canceled. So you're literally just pushing this narrative. But the thing with Mark Ruffalo, I'm like, I really hope he doesn't run his account. I hope that he's got like a woke assistant that does it. Cause I try to still have hope for people. Cause I'm like, you can't be that stupid, man.
No,
like,
he's that stupid. Mark Ruffalo is that stupid.
Screen Rant. I read the article on my last video and it's like, they don't show a single one of these review bomb, they don't show a single review. They don't show screenshots of like, look, it's literally all bots. Look, it's all fake. Not one review was posted. It's just them talking about it. And so I'm like, if this was real, you could show screenshots, you could show receipts, you could show evidence. And also it's like, oh, they review bombed it because it's a woman of color. I'm like, or just a woman in general. I'm like, what about every other female-led show or movie ever?
Right.
Right? How come Aliens wasn't review bombed? How come
exactly. Alien is fucking one of the
Xena. How come none of those were review bombed ever? Oh, isn't that funny how that works? Right. It's because it's a fake narrative.
Right. It's a fake
people
narrative.
Just don't like your show. And this is the point I was making. It's like women are equal in every single way, right? Women can do everything that men do except take criticism. Because when a woman gets criticized, oh, it's fake. It's a review bomb. It's sexist, misogynist, man babies. It's like, oh, that's funny, but you were allowed to criticize the men but not the women because women have to be protected. Oh, that means we're not equal. You see how that works?
Right. It's the same thing. People are not to get political, but it's a similar analogy between people saying, "Oh, you're not listening to Jen Psaki because she's a woman." It's like, bro, do you know she's the?
I'm sorry.
I love that. No, I love that so much. Thank you for she was the old press secretary for the White House.
Oh, she's a ginger?
Yeah, red hair.
Okay.
Bro. Yeah.
I've seen her clips of her on Twitter, but I don't know her by name.
And the only people who like her are other white ladies. But she, you're criticizing what she said because she's a woman. It's like, bro, do you know how much shit Biden gets online? Are you out of your motherfucking mind? Do you know how many white motherfuckers we cringe on, we meme? Do you know how many people get? It's the same thing. Oh, you're just review bombing. Okay. What's another example of some shit that nobody fucking likes besides Mrs. Marvel or whatever her fucking name is? Captain Marvel. Did you like Captain Marvel?
I did not like Captain Marvel. My channel exploded because of my calling out of the Brie Larson and Captain Marvel.
Why is that? What did you say?
The truth.
Okay. It's just woke white dog shit.
I called her out on her bullshit. And my channel, the first year I was on YouTube, I think I got 19,000 subscribers and I was almost at 20. And so my YouTube channel got started in like the beginning of January, right after The Last Jedi came out in December. And so like that year mark, I was like, oh, cool. I got almost 20,000. And then Captain Marvel's like the marketing for that started coming out. And in 1 month, I went from 19,000 subscribers to like 110. Because I was I was calling out this bullshit that Brie Larson was spewing, and like the stuff that they were doing, like it was some shady stuff too. Like this is the bizarre, all the money that Disney has. Like you've heard stories like of Keanu Reeves and how he like gave his entire paycheck to the special effects team, all the wonderful things that he does, like Johnny Depp going to like children's hospitals as Captain Jack Sparrow. Brie Larson was going on a press tour and she was promoting these GoFundMes to raise money to get little girls in underprivileged cities to go and see her movie. And I was like, so all the money from those GoFundMes are going into your pockets because they're paying for movie tickets. And instead of you, who got paid more than any other actor in their first Marvel movie, she got paid millions of dollars. Chris Hemsworth got paid like $300,000 to play Thor in the first Thor movie. Brie Larson made like over $5 million to play Captain Marvel. I'm like, instead of paying for all of these girls' tickets and like just renting out theaters in all these towns, you're making them raise money to buy tickets, and guess where all that money is going? Into your pocket, Brie Larson. I was like, do you not see how fucking shady this shit is? And that video pissed off a lot of people. Because I'm like, but it's true. Keanu Reeves would have just bought out those theaters and taken all of those kids. Because that was also another thing. It wasn't take little boys to go see Captain Marvel. It was specifically only girls.
Right. Because they know this is the thing. See, this is the thing, Anna, you need to understand. White liberals know what's best for us. That's why I'm not monetized. That's why my shit gets taken down. That's why I'm shadow banned. That's why you're shadow banned. White liberals know what's best for us. Even though fucking adults have voluntarily followed you, okay, and voluntarily want to see they know what's best for them. No. Ms. Motherfucking Brie Larson knows what they're supposed to see. They're not supposed to see all the notification. Even though they elected to voluntarily follow you, they don't know what's best for them. White liberals know what's best for you.
See, but maybe that's just my own ignorance going against me. It's like, I don't really know what a person's political leaning is that fights with me.
No. And
I have noticed, though, the people that are nice to me are always almost 99.9% of the time on one side versus the other. That's why. Ta-da!
That's what I'm saying. And again, that's what I was talking about in the beginning about like getting political or not. It's not the cause, it's the effect. Like, okay, I would be against conservatives if they, number one, were the ones who were, if they were the ones pushing out free speech, if they were the ones ruining entertainment, okay, if they were the ones chopping off babies' fucking dicks, like if they were the ones doing all this crazy shit, I would be against them, right? It's not I don't come into this, what's that old Chris Rock bit? Anybody who chooses a political alliance before they even hear the content of the argument is a dumbass. This isn't team sports. You know what I mean? He said like that old Chris Rock bit, like some stuff I'm conservative on, sometimes I'm liberal on stuff. Crime, I'm conservative. Prostitution, I'm liberal. You know what I mean? Like, you know. So,
oh, that's great.
Right. So like ultimately, emotionally mature people who use their brains instead of letting the emotions run everything, choose that shit. And I'm not saying I give a fuck about whatever, but who is ruining entertainment? This is something that not only you have devoted your career to, but it's something you devoted your career to because you're motherfucking passionate about it, right? There's a reason why you have a Batman shit and you know about the Trill, motherfucker. There's a reason why you know about the Trill. It's because your heart is because the universe, God, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
You want to see something cool?
Put that spark in you.
On my microphone.
Beautiful. Love that. And we'll get to what's her face in a second, Ripley. But like, there's a reason why the universe put that in you, and you're using it. But who is slowly, painfully making all that shit boring? Who is making all that shit annoying? Who is smelling up something that you devoted your life to? It's white liberals right now. Sorry, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even just say just white liberals, because I mean, well, no, because like there's some women that passionately hate me that are not white, and there's some that, well, some men too, but I've noticed it is, I think it's the people that are in the spotlight that are that way, but at least like the ones that follow them, that mindlessly, like they're little mindless little drones that'll go do whatever they say. It's all over the spectrum of people. And I mean, it's the same thing on the opposite. It's like when I meet people in real life, it's everyone from every walk of life. And so like, I mean, I have a hard time like not putting people like into like very specific, like you obviously have had your run-in with people and they're very apparently white liberals. Me, it's like all over the freaking spectrum. And maybe that's the nerdum because it appeals to everyone. Right? No, you can get all walks of life, but see, this is the thing that I fight on my channel is because they say, oh, the people that don't like it are all sexist, misogynistic white men, right? And I'm like, no, it's literally people from all walks of life, you racist motherfuckers.
Right. And again, the reason why I'm pointing, number one, yeah, my experience mostly reflects that. Because the only people I've ever been called, and again, just as a reminder, I'm a fucking half Puerto Rican, okay? And the only people I've ever been called Nazi by are white dudes. So that's number one. So that's my experience. But I'm not saying it's only white liberals. Of course, it's more than. But white people, let's just say, when you look at the racial breakdown of the country, are only 60%, right? Mm-hmm. So you have that roughly between men and women. Right. So it's about 30%, 25% of the country is white women. Right. And yet they're 99% of the people who are like at a comedy show. I don't like that joke's not OK. You need to do what the percentage is a lot fucking worse. And not just that. I'm using identity politics to kill identity politics, because what made those white liberals that way? White guilt. They put themselves in that position to see, yeah, we need to be more like Mark Ruffalo. Why? Because they don't know enough motherfucking black people. They don't know enough how horrendous women can be. Okay. They don't know how fucking if you know what I'm saying? So they got into that mode because of white guilt. And I'm trying to use white guilt to shake them motherfuckers awake. I'm trying to like, look, it's your whiteness that is part of the problem. And I'm not saying it's their whiteness inherently. I'm saying it's their whiteness in that they grow up in Connecticut. They grew up in Connecticut in a nice home where daddy had the money to send them to a liberal arts college. And they didn't, it's not their fault, but they didn't know enough motherfuckers. They didn't grow up in the Bronx around a bunch of black people to know that black people are actually human, that some of them are wonderful and some of them are horrendous. Well, but see,
that's why they use them as props. And this is where I get a lot of hate. I'm like, okay, we lived in San Francisco. Like, almost all of my friends are not straight. I have very few friends that are actually full on straight, right? I mean, my best friend is pansexual. Both of my sisters are bisexual. Like, I mean, now I feel like I'm reading off like the checklist and everything, but my best friend, he's Mexican and gay.
Right.
And so I'm like, you want to get on my ass because like you want to virtue signal about LGBTQ plus, but you don't know anything about the LGBTQ plus community. I was there. I basically partied in the Castro every freaking night for years. Like, so it really actually does offend me when they just like, let's just make Superman gay. And I'm like, so you're literally tokenizing gay people. Like that's all it is. You don't know anything about the community. You don't know anything about the people, which by the way, they're normal fucking people.
Yeah.
They prop. And it makes me mad because I'm like, that's not just insulting to, you know, the whole community. I'm like, that's like my best friend. Like, you're tokenizing my best friend. How fucking dare you? Like, you're just using them for props. Same with, you know, people of color. They're like, oh, here's our token Mexican. And I'm like, you don't know anything about like what it, and they do like the most racist shit too. And I'm like, you guys are going to cancel Dr. Seuss because he had a Chinaman with chopsticks. And I'm like, in a kid's little rhyming book, but you're literally doing the most racist shit in your movies to virtue signal to, you know, Asian people. Like, give me, oh my God, it's so painful.
Right. I had a friend actually, and I've told this story too. I had a friend who was out in LA about to do a show. He was in a pilot, and his character, now my friend is Puerto Rican and Spanish, full fucking blooded. But he also grew up, in a nice hood. Right now, the people in the PR campaign for this new show were talking to him, and they were like, "So you, they were like, you, where did you grow up?" And he's like his character in this show is Puerto Rican. He's like, "Where did you grow up?" And he shows them like a picture of where he grew up. And he's like, and the PR people said, that's not like bad enough. So we won't tell people. We'll just say you're from New York. You know what I mean? It's just, and he's like, okay. And then they were like, here, your character in this show is Puerto Rican. You're not like rolling your R's enough. So they made him roll his R's.
Oh my God. Okay?
And not just that, they fucking spray tanned the motherfucker.
Oh my God.
They spray tanned him, and not just spray tanned him, to really give it some good effect. They put him in a shirt that said Boricua.
Oh my God, no. Yeah, you know what's funny is I like watching this older show. You might have heard of it. It's called Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
It's very wholesome. It's also like, you would think like, how are there that many seasons? Like, aren't they just doing shit on the prairie? And it's like, no, this shit's like real fucking life, like intensity. And it's always depressing, but it makes me sadly, it makes me feel better about like, oh, I didn't have problems. They got fucking problems. But there's an episode where they get the dad, he finds out that one of his uncles passed away and left him this fortune, so he's going to be super rich. And the newspaper comes in town because they're doing the rags to riches story, and they're like, oh, you have like, even though you're poor, like, oh, you have a nice house, oh, you guys aren't living on like dirt floors. And so they found like some family living in a hut and used that picture for the newspaper. And take in mind, this is like a very white family that they were trying to make look worse, so that way they can do the rags to riches story. And it's funny how they don't just do that with them. They do that with like everyone that they want to push a narrative for. So you can be white, you can be Asian, you can be Puerto Rican, you can be black, and you can be black and from the nicest. Like, look, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a black family living in Bel Air. I didn't live in Bel Air. I'm never gonna probably be afford to live in Bel Air, but it was, when I was a kid, it was a black family living in Bel Air. It was Will Smith going from West Philadelphia to Bel Air, right? And so that's what I grew up with. But
right,
so
the Cosby Show, regardless of what he did off the air, the Cosby Show, he was a doctor.
Yeah.
In a nice house.
Continue. Yeah. But see, that's the thing. So we grew up, I feel like our generation, we don't have a racist bone in our body because everything was accepted. And now, because they want to use racism and, all of those like prejudice against us, they have to make up fake narratives when our generation grew up without a racist bone in our body. We love everyone. Everything is accepted. And, I mean, when I was a kid, it was Jackie Chan, Will Smith, Eddie Murphy, Denzel Washington, Keanu Reeves, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. Like, those were the movie stars when we were growing up, right? Very mixed.
Yeah.
On that front. And now they're like, oh, you guys are all sexist and racist. It's like, what are you talking about? We're probably the most accepting generation on this planet ever.
Right. It's a similar thing.
They have to fake it. They have to create this narrative to push this because they need some kind of adversity, because they are too ashamed of their own pathetic excuses for lives that they have to make up a fake problem.
Right. It's a similar thing. It's a similar thing to the there's not enough women in STEM, where there's not enough women in coding, right? It's like, okay, but there's not enough whites in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, there's not enough women in contracting. You know what I mean? Like, where's that video? It was going around a few days ago of these guys in drilling for oil. And they were fucking sweating and covered in disgusting dirt and these huge,
There's not enough women garbage men.
Not enough women garbage men. So, like, are we going to make everything even Stevens? Because that's also what fucking 5-year-olds do, you assholes. Is that a sustainable way to maneuver your mind? Is that a sustainable way to go through life? Or are you going to grow up? Are you going to fucking grow up? God damn it.
Well, that's the thing, is they don't actually want equality. And that was in my video earlier. It's like, oh yeah, women can do everything that men do except take criticism.
Right.
Because the second that a woman is getting criticized, it's the end of fucking time. But I mean, when I was a kid, everyone kind of took it in stride. It's like, oh, you have some bad reviews. Okay, that's fine. But we got to look at the big picture. And people today, they don't know what the word humble is. They don't know what the word integrity is. Right. All they know is to push their own weird, twisted views of the world. And it's like, can you just read a book? Please. Like, I feel like people just aren't as intelligent nowadays because they want that instant gratification. So they will not sit down and read an actual book.
Especially history.
Oh my God. That's the thing. When somebody tells me they have no interest in history, I'm like, we're not going to get along very well.
Right. What got you? We'll start wrapping up in a second, but what got you into history? What got you into history?
My mom was a historian and before she had us. So my mom, she used to travel a lot. And so she can like look at an antique. She can tell you who made it, if it's an original or if it was a mass produced thing. She could tell you how much it's worth, where it's from. I mean, I remember we went, I was little, we went up the coast to Eureka, California, because this lady had like a desk that was like on the Mayflower.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. But I remember this trip because I was only allowed to take 2 action figures with me, and I was very distraught about that.
Which ones did you take?
I took Darth Vader and Anakin from Revenge of the Sith, but a little Anakin, I think.
Jesus. All right.
I liked that action figure because we had the same haircut. So.
You mean the little boy?
Yes.
Aww.
But no, I took my favorite Darth Vader. I was so mad because I wanted my favorite action figure is one of Princess Leia, and I wanted to take that one. My mom said no, I could only take 2. It didn't occur to me that I had pockets and she wouldn't be able to really monitor how many action figures. But I will never forget that trip because I could only take 2. But I've always been surrounded by it, and I've always found it interesting. Like, I remember the first movie I ever watched that was about the Holocaust was The Pianist. And I was like, because it was the first time I saw like grown-ups scared and it not being like a monster or an alien or a shark. Right. And I'm like, Mom, like, why are these people so scared? Like, why is it like adults and like not even like just women being afraid? Why are there full-grown men being afraid? Why is he hiding? What is this? And I was like, I like it because I'm like, this actually happened. I mean, it's terrible. I'm not happy that the Holocaust happened. Absolutely not. But
I'm just going to click that right there.
By history because these things were real. And that was something that bothered me. Like, I was that little kid. If you have children, turn off this part. I was the little kid that figured out Santa wasn't real. And I told all my friends. I was that child because I'm like, I don't like being lied to. I really don't. Like, I loved fairies. And there's that little part of me that always wishes that they were real. But like Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, I figured out at a very early age that those things weren't real. So I'm like, well, what is cool that is real? Like Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones. Like the pyramids are real. There's places in this world, like ancient Greece, that's real. Right? I mean, the gods might not be real, but all of that culture behind it was real, and people did amazing things. People also did very terrible things. And if you don't learn from history, you're likely to repeat it. So when I found out, like, and since I'm such a small person, and it's kind of a female thing, I guess, is that instinct, like to survive and like, how do you survive? So I like to be very aware of the things that can kill me and can hurt me. So I'm like, oh, Nazis are bad. Maybe don't go fight a war with like poisonous gas. That's bad. Oh, if you're in a trench and like you don't change your socks, like your feet might fall off. Like, that's bad, right? History, that's not that good either.
History is so important too, because it's not just to learn, because sometimes it's easy we all have our narratives. We all have our, like, I'm going to read this book because I really want to rag on, whatever. But like, it's not just gives you the idea of they did wonderful and horrible things. It also is like, there's not much difference between them and us. There's not much difference. We're capable of doing wonderful things and bad things. That's the idea. I always go back to this thing is like, the first, Oh, slavery was an American shame. Okay, it was also a shame of every fucking country ever,
every
guys.
civilization ever.
And Mauritania in Africa only outlawed slavery in 1981. 1981 was when they outlawed slavery, and they didn't even really give any legal consequence for it. They just wrote, okay, it's outlawed. Right? They didn't have a legal consequence for slavery in Mauritania until 2007.
That's crazy.
And it's still happening right now. Slavery is happening. And it's blacks on browns and browns on blacks. So stop it with the white people. Like, you're being manipulated, boys and girls. And if you know more about history and you soak it up from wherever, you start to realize, oh, this is really. I love that thing about the being in the trenches, right? The average life expectancy of a junior officer, an English junior officer in the First World War on the front lines in France was 6 weeks. That's the average. Once he hit the fucking ground as a junior officer in France, he had an average of 6 weeks to live. Okay. Don't you think maybe if you put that on one side of the scale and being stuck in the kitchen in the other side of the scale, like you
yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
I would much rather, and I say this in women. Oh my God, I piss off all the feminazis on Twitter. They get so offended. I'm like, yeah, I can't do the same shit that men can do. Also, I don't want to do the shit that men do. I don't want to go to war. I would die. I am a tiny human. I need glasses to see like the fucking stop sign. I would die, or I would get raped. There's no way in hell I want to go to war and fight and do the same exact things men do. One, I don't want to. Two, I can't physically. There's no possibility of me being able to be as good in battle as a man.
But the other part of that people often miss, because again, I think they're projecting this shit. It's pretty fucking great. Like, why don't, it's the same thing with the She-Hulk and all these fucking characters. When they woke it up, when they masculinize them, they completely fly in the face of women's strength, of women's good virtues, of women's abilities, of women. Like, there's a reason why we fucking mesh, boys and girls, because your strengths are our weaknesses and our weaknesses are your strength. Like, it's balanced between masculine and feminine. So why? It's the same thing with I'm sorry, Kill Bill, God bless it, but her fucking arms were like that fucking big. Okay, why is she able to just slay all these motherfuckers, and yet she didn't have fucking muscles? God damn it! I'm not saying
Uma Thurman is a big woman. Like, she looks small on screen, but she's like 5'10". Like,
but you understand that? No, she is.
Yeah, like it'd be a big difference if I was in the movie. Like, I'm tiny, and I mean I have a little muscle, but a 5 foot nothing woman versus a 5'10" giant woman, like.
Right. And maybe she's a bad example.
At least he tried there, I'll give him that.
Right. But maybe she's a bad example. But usually what they do.
Like Natalie Portman holding Thor's hammer. It's like Natalie Portman's like 5'1", 120 pounds when she's soaking wet. Right.
And like, when they try to make these women strong, they make them like men. And that's insulting as fuck.
Oh, it is. Well, look at Natalie Portman, Padme. I hated what they did to her in episode 3 because she's crying and pregnant. I'm like, she would be so fucking emotional and going crazy. She'd be going off on Palpatine. Like, that would have made more sense to me if she's like, fuck you, Palpatine, you're ruining the Republic, da da da. And then he's like, all right, we got to kill this bitch. Yeah. But no, I mean, she's a fucking queen when she's 14. She's not physically strong. Like, she has to have Jedi protect her and defend her. What her strength is her mind, and she's got that natural leading instinct, and that's why even when she's not a queen, they want her to be a senator. So I'm like, that, and she's a tiny feminine woman. That's powerful. Not yoking out, going to the gym and trying to become as masculine as possible. That's not. I'm sorry, that's not a strong female character. It's fine if you're a woman and you like working out and you like being strong like that. Like, look, Gina Carano, the exact opposite of Natalie Portman. She is a fighter, and it's fine for women to be fighters, but not all of them are. It's
right.
It's
and why didn't And why didn't Sigourney Weaver get shit reviews for Aliens? Like, Aliens is one of the greatest fucking movies of all fucking time. Okay. Mm-hmm. And yet I don't remember, I'm sure we would have heard of it. I wasn't, I was alive in 86 or whenever it came out, but I wasn't, I was probably 1 year old. But I'm saying, like, I don't remember a bunch of clips of her going, this is the strong step for women. And, I don't remember her in the movie going, and women and women and women and women and women. Like, she just was strong. Insecure people. It's the same guys. It's the same thing of like, guys are always like, the guys who are constantly talking about how big their dick is, probably got a small dick. They're coming from a place of insecurity. Okay. Mm-hmm. And guess what, girls? You're humans too. And any human can come from a place of insecurity. No one, Sigourney Weaver, all these other female didn't need to shove it down our throats. I'm doing this you're not, blah, blah, blah. That's insecurity, right?
Well, that's the thing is like when I say history, I don't just mean like world history. I mean like the history of films. Like they haven't watched anything. They don't know that the reason why Sigourney Weaver is so like revered in, the horror and sci-fi world is because in Alien, nobody knew that she was going to be the one that survived. It seemed, halfway through the movie, the main character, the guy you think is the main character, the captain, he dies. And then it's like, who's going to survive? She survives because she's the strong, not physically strongest, but mentally. She's the one that can figure out how to survive. She has the survival instinct, which is why she lives and everyone else dies. And in Aliens, she's the one that survives because she knows she's literally there with a bunch of fucking Marines, like brute to the max. You got Vasquez. There's a strong female woman who they painted, tan. So that way she could be Vasquez. So that way she can be brown. They painted her because she wasn't dark enough. Nice. And, they cut off her hair. She's all strong. She's doing the pull-ups. She's doing everything that the men can do. Right. And, she sacrifices herself, to be fair. She does. She goes out honorably. But Sigourney Weaver lives because she's got that experience. It's the intelligence that saves her, not her muscle. The woman with muscle dies. And the woman with the strong mind is the one that lives.
And it's the same thing in number 3
Haven't you noticed this? I don't know if you're a big horror movie fan. It's usually the girl that survives. It's usually the surviving girl. I mean, you want to look for strong female characters, go watch a bunch of horror movies. It's a lot of women.
You need to talk to Mike Harlow. He's fucking constant. He's like that. I'm the final girl. You know what I mean? Like he loves Scream. He's like all into those movies. So,
well, see, I'm the biggest bitch. I'm such a scaredy cat. But my sister she would make us always watch scary movies, and I'd be there crying like, I'm never gonna forget this. Like, I've never seen a Freddy Krueger movie. I've never seen a Jason. I'm the biggest fucking bitch when it comes to scary movies because I will have terrible nightmares and I will cry. Right. But my favorite movie outside of Star Wars is Silence of the Lambs, and that's a horror movie. And look, who's the main character? It's a woman.
Right. And yes, they did have some flashes of this is uncomfortable because I'm a woman in a man's world, right? Yes. They didn't have to fucking the whole goddamn movie. It was more interesting for everybody involved. Why do so many men love Silence of the Lambs, even though it was from a female's perspective? They literally have camera shots. The director, Jonathan Demme or whatever his name is, had camera shots of a woman's perspective of these male cops, like, giving her the fucking side eye. Why were we all still loving that movie? There's a reason. The fulcrum is not because we're all sexist. No, we were open to it because we loved this fucking chick and we were so engaged by the character, engaged by the story.
It's real. Like, you can show real things that happen.
Absolutely.
Like, sexism is a real thing. Racism is a real thing. Prejudice is a very, very real thing. And you can show the authentic. People like it when it's authentic. When you're just trying to use it to virtue signal and you're forcing it, that's when people don't like it because it's not genuine.
We can smell it. As an audience, we can subconsciously smell it when you're trying to fucking condescend to me. I don't need to learn a fucking lesson, you fucking turd. I don't need to learn a lesson. I'm a goddamn adult, motherfucker. I get my lessons where I get my lessons. I don't want to get my lessons from a fucking movie. Turd ass motherfucker.
Okay, well, here's like a real life situation. Remember that one manager that we had that was a complete asshole that everyone hated?
Male or female?
Male.
Maybe.
Okay, well, I know I forgot the other.
You'll tell me who it is after the.
I'll tell you off air. Well, no, we had a manager that everyone hated. He was a fucking piece of shit. And guess what? We can all relate because he was a piece of shit in his own way to all of us. Obviously, he was a different type of piece of shit to me than he was to you, but we all have had that I think everyone in the world has had a shitty manager. And it's like, yeah, they're going to be a little sexist to the women. Yeah, they're going to be a little, what would be the word to like another man? Like dick measuring or like.
Yeah, dick measuring or belittling. You know what I mean? And if you don't know any condescending women, you don't know enough women. If you don't know the whole like mansplaining, you know how fucking douchebaggy women can be?
Oh, yeah.
And that fucking disconnect happens where like, men in roles of power, man. And yet you go home and what do you fucking complain about? Your fucking woman boss who's a fucking dick. All right? You're disconnected between your actual experience and what you think your experience is supposed to do. Okay? Or supposed to be. Anyway. I also want to give a shout out to Ripley because she sacrificed herself in number 3, even though she came back for other ones.
You know what? There's only 2 Alien movies. I don't even. I'm
not okay, but she got impregnated by the alien. She had the face hugger. Whatever, and she threw herself into the fucking lava at the end of number 3.
You know what? Number 3 just. I don't think we're talking about the same thing. Like there is no number 3.
You know what? You're being racist. I'm a person of color. You're not allowed to disagree with me.
I'm a person of color too, bitch. You can't use that against me.
You're marginalizing my voice.
Excuse me, I'm a woman of color and you're marginalizing my voice.
I'm a woman too, just because I look like a man, stereotypical masculine in behavior.
How dare you assume my gender?
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful That Star Wars Girl, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Please plug yourself one more time.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed listening to my ramblings and getting off topic over and over again. My name is Anna. I go online by That Star Wars Girl. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and locals. I also have a cosplay calendar that is live now on Indiegogo. It's a gamer edition. I don't know when this episode is going to air, but it should be up there. So go check it out. Oh, I'm also on Etsy as well. So if you want to buy some prints of some of my paintings, those are there as well. Thank you so much for putting up with me for the past, I don't know how long this episode is going to be. And also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to Peter. He's awesome, not only online, but in real life as well. We go way, way back. And even though we hadn't talked or seen each other in years, like at least at 5 to 6 years, at least minimum. I don't know how long ago it was, but he's just as awesome in real life as he is online. So give him a follow, subscribe, and all of the places, and leave nice comments because that will help out your algorithm. And watch more of his content so that way he can get monetized.
Yeah, give me fucking money. And you can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano, on Twitter, Rule62Peter. And you can support my podcast and my music at patreon.com/Conservatish. And I've got music coming out. I've got a cover song with multiple people. It's fucking great. And I produced the entire thing myself because I'm amazing. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. Bye, everybody.
Bye.